The largest Bitcoin mining pool earns an average of $16 million per day. Is it really that simple though? I'm Brett at CryptoGX, and I'll be talking about Bitcoin mining. Is it still profitable in 2025? How can you calculate your profits and costs? And then I'll be discussing my own experience and the key to maximizing profits with mining. But first, let's talk about Bitcoin mining and how it works. Imagine Bitcoin as a digital ledger, as many of us already know, like a giant record book for every single transaction. Miners are the ones who keep this book accurate. They use powerful computers called ASICs or ASICs to solve tricky math puzzles. Solving these puzzles checks transactions and then adds them to the Bitcoin network. If you solve one, you get a reward. This reward is built up of new Bitcoins plus some transaction fees. Every 4 years or so, this reward for solving those puzzles gets cut in half. Back in 2024, the reward dropped from 6.25 Bitcoins per block reward to 3.12 Bitcoins per block. This is essentially what the halving is, if you've heard of that. It makes mining less rewarding over time, so the miners need to be smart with their costs, and typically the reward being cut in half means that it will drive the price up because mining has to be profitable for people to want to do it. Now, smaller rewards means that you have to keep electricity and hardware expenses very low to make any money. You can see some hardware actually available on Amazon right now. It's not super cheap, but these are the low end. We'll talk about more ASICs later on. If there are thousands of Bitcoin miners and large companies involved, then how come Bitcoin can pay them all? Well, we'll get to that, but let's understand some terms that I'm going to use so that you're not lost throughout the video. The first one is network revenue. This is the total cash that miners earn every day across the world. It comes from two things: block rewards and transaction fees. The second one is hash rate. This is a measure of how much computing power miners use to solve these puzzles. More power, bigger hash rate, bigger chance to win rewards. Got it? Now let's look at the big picture. In 2025, all Bitcoin miners together earn about $53 million in a day, which is huge. It comes from block rewards, about 450 Bitcoins daily, worth 52 million-ish at 117,000 plus per Bitcoin. Now they also earn transaction fees, which is about $500,000 in transaction fees, considering an average fee of about $1.17. There's also a daily transaction volume of about 400 to 500,000. Now big mining groups like Foundry grabbed the greatest share, about $15 million daily. Now you can check their hash rate on websites like this, Mining Pool Stats. They've got tons of hash rate and very clearly cheap power to run all of this and actually make money. They've got warehouses full of machines. I'm sure electricity deals that you would dream of. Now you can see that Foundry has the biggest slice when it comes to the mining power and the hash rate available out there. These giants run massive operations. Imagine huge warehouses packed with thousands of ASICs. These are the machines that are built to run the crazy puzzles at lightning speed. And as you can see here on this pie chart, they have over 30% of the network's hash rate. With this, they pull in around $15 million a day in block rewards and transaction fees, which is a huge portion of the 50 million roughly that gets pulled in daily from the miners around the world. Because they have low electricity deals, which we'll talk about electricity costs later, that means that they're keeping the large majority of their $15 million. They also buy ASICs in huge quantities, which make their profits a lot bigger as well, rather than buying them one at a time. Just like if you go to Costco, things are a little bit cheaper. When you have these big deals of many machines, it makes them cheaper per unit as well. Now, in places like Iran and Canada, power costs as little as 2 cents per kilowatt hour, which is way less than the average 17 cents that you'd pay in the US. And if you're somewhere in Germany, you will barely be making any profits. They have some of the most expensive electricity out there, and even up to about 38 cents per kilowatt hour. Some mining operations use renewable energy like hydropower in Norway to slash their costs and also to, be eco-friendly. It's like they're running cash factories that turn wind or solar or, other sorts of renewables into cash. Norway even put a ban on crypto mining through grid electricity to save for the renewable industries. Big scale, cheap power, and efficient machines make these companies the heavyweights of mining profits in 2025. They're basically playing a much different game than everybody else is, and they're winning big on this. So how much profits can individual miners make? Do they even have a chance at winning against these big companies? Now, on average, a individual miner with a single ASIC with a Bitmain Antminer S21 Pro will have 100 terahashes per second, and this earns about $5.84 a day at the Bitcoin price of about 117,000. Now, this obviously sounds like pocket change compared to the Foundry's millions, right? But costs can wipe out really fast. If your ASIC burns at 3,000 watts, which is roughly accurate for this particular miner, this is also also 72 kilowatt hours daily. With super cheap power, like 2 cents per kilowatt hour in places like Iran, your electricity bill's just $1.44. Now, with that electricity cost, this leaves about $4.44 in profit, which is not terrible, obviously. But in the US, the average cost of electricity per kilowatt hour is about 17 cents. So you'll be paying well over $10 a day, and boom, you're in a loss. Plus, you're living with constant noise if you're planning to do this from your bedroom, because these machines are very loud and their fans are spinning and creating a lot of wind noise. On top of that, the ASIC mining hardware is not particularly cheap. This particular model is just shy of $500, but some are around $1,600 or $3,000 or $5,000 depending on how good the machine is. You need to be in some sort of profit to even out that hardware cost across a year or 2 years depending on how much that miner is. So if you're not breaking even already with the cost of electricity, then you have no shot of making any money. To make any cash, you need electricity under 5 cents per kilowatt hour and a top-notch machine that, is going to be making you lots of money on top of that to cover that hardware cost. So does this mean that individual mining really has no profitability? Well, not necessarily. You just need to play your cards right. So we talked about the cost and the thin margins that can make mining feel like a losing battle, but here's the thing. Individual miners can still come out ahead in 2025 if they strategize in a smart way. Let me make it simpler with some real numbers so you can see exactly how to make this work. Now, first of all, it starts with your hardware. So the ASIC from a good company has the power of 100 terahashes. This is a decent entry point, but if you want to compete, you really have to level up. For example, this Bitmain Bitcoin miner is $3,240 and it pumps out over 200 terahashes per second. It runs very efficiently at 17.5 joules per terahash. This is just a number to calculate the amount of energy that it's going to cost, which we'll define later. So obviously after your hardware cost, the second problem is electricity. This is the real challenge when it comes to actually determining your real profit. The S21 Plus running 24/7 uses about 84 kilowatt hours per day. At 5 cents per kilowatt hour, you're looking at about $4.20 a day in power costs. If you can cut the rate to 3 cents, which is possible if you're in maybe Texas with a solar setup, that cost drops to $2.52 a day, which is a pretty sweet deal. But if you're stuck with the US average of 17 cents, that's $14.28 a day. At the current Bitcoin price, the S21 Plus can earn you $11.50 per day. So there's your cost has to be under $11.50 in electricity to at least break even, and then you need to make some money to cover that initial investment so that you can be profiting on top of that. Now, if you're paying that 5 cents per kilowatt hour, then you're going to be making $7.80 a day or $2,847 a year. It would take around 15 months to earn back on your hardware costs at the price that you paid for it. Now, the other potential risk here is that your profit gets reduced even further when the price of Bitcoin drops. So cheap power is really good, but you got to keep an eye on the Bitcoin price as well, because if the Bitcoin price drops, your profit drops and your time horizon on making your money back on the hardware gets extended. And don't worry, I'm not done with the cost. All of these calculations will have to include mining pool fees at some point. Now, joining a mining pool like F2 Pool or AntPool will be a good idea. Like basically when you join a mining pool, you want to join a big one to help spread out your earnings and make sure that you're earning consistently, just because that's very helpful when it comes to Bitcoin mining. If you decide to operate individually and not join a big mining pool, your rewards will not be very steady. And we don't need to get super deep into that, but you have to join a mining pool. The fees are pretty small. It's a percentage, somewhere around 1-2%, something like that. So if you're going to get started, you're going to buy a S21 Plus, you're going to bank these profits, then you're going to grab a second one. Now you're at $6,920 a year with 2 machines at, let's say, 3 cents per kilowatt hour, then you're going to be making some money here. Now, if you scale up to 5 machines, you'll be making $17,000 a year. It's not private jet money, but it's real tangible cash flow if you play it smart and you reinvest wisely. So is individual mining dead? No, of course not. It's just tough. You can't do it on your laptop, but to sum up, you can still make profit. You just have to use the right strategy. Now, alternatively, you can start investing in crypto. The market is slowly turning into altcoin season, and if you're ready to get in and ride that wave up, I put links to Coinbase and crypto.com in the description. You'll get at least $50 in crypto just for signing up with those links. And if you want to get into meme coins, I also left a link to MoonShot where you can claim some free meme coins when you sign up. If you learned something new or just enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and hit subscribe if you want to stay tuned for all things crypto. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.